Good evening. It's Thursday, the 10th of July, and here's what's making news around the world on World News Tonight. Drone barrage. Russia unleashes largest aerial assault on Ukraine after Trump slams Putin's meaningless friendliness in rare rebuke. Biotech milestone. World's first recombinant anthrax vaccines ready for mass production, marking South Korea's breakthrough in global health preparedness. Wedding tribute. Emotional moment as bride's dad and stepdad walk her down the aisle together in Italy, symbolizing unity and unconditional love.
From Colombo, this is World News Tonight.
Good evening once again. Russia launched a record-breaking drone and a missile assault on Ukraine, deploying 728 drones and 13 missiles just hours after President Trump criticized Putin. Ukraine intercepted most, but strikes killed at least one and damaged infrastructure amid intensifying aerial warfare.
Just hours after President Trump railed against Vladimir Putin, saying he's very nice all the time, but it turns out to be meaningless. The Russian leader unleashing his largest aerial assault yet on Ukraine, firing more than 700 drones into the country. It comes as Trump makes it clear his patience with Putin is wearing thin.
We get a lot of thrown at us by Putin, for you want to know the truth. He's very nice all the time, but it turns out to be meaningless.
The administration now resuming weapons shipments to Ukraine, shipments the Pentagon put on pause last week. The president has insisted he didn't know who ordered the pause.
Yesterday, you said that you were not sure who ordered the munitions halted to Ukraine. Have you since been able to figure that out?
Well, I haven't thought about it because we're looking at Ukraine right now and munitions, but I have not gone into it.
President Trump today saying he's now considering sending even more weapons to Ukraine, including granting their request for another Patriot air defense system.
When you talk about a system like that, highly sophisticated, tremendous amount of money, and they're doing it because they want to prevent death. They're getting hit hard, very hard. So we're looking at it.
Europe's top human rights tribunal, the ECHR in Strasbourg, unanimously ruled that Russia is responsible for downing MH17 in 2014, killing all 298 aboard, and has systematically violated human rights across Ukraine since 2014.
Europe's top human rights court has ruled that Russia is responsible for atrocities and violations of international law in Ukraine, including the 2014 downing of Malaysian Airlines flight MH17. The European Court of Human Rights in Strasbourg announced on Wednesday a unanimous ruling finding Russia formally responsible for shooting down flight MH17 with a Russian Buk missile, resulting in the deaths of all 298 people on board, most of them Dutch citizens. The verdict represents the first international court decision attributing state-level responsibility to Russia for the tragedy. Alongside MH17, the court ruled that Russia systematically violated human rights, including the use of sexual violence, torture, and abductions across Ukraine since 2014. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov dismissed the judgment, saying, "We won't abide by it. We consider it void." Ukraine welcomed the symbolic judgment, hailing it as a historic and undeniable victory for the country.
A devastating flood along Nepal's Botekoshi River swept away the Friendship Bridge and killed at least 9 people. 20 remains missing, including 6 Chinese workers, after a glacial lake outburst triggered by draining in Tibet. Rescue missions continue.
The International Center for Integrated Mountain Development confirmed the flood was triggered by the rapid drainage of a superglacial lake north of the Langtan Himal across the Tibet-Nepal border. Satellite images revealed the lake's abrupt collapse, unleashing a powerful torrent that surged down the Botekoshi, undermining infrastructure without any significant rainfall in the Nepali catchment. With climate change accelerating glacial melting, such glacial lake outburst floods are increasing in frequency across the Hindu Kush Himalaya region. Rescue efforts amid disrupted infrastructure. Emergency teams in Raswa district have airlifted more than 55 people, Nepalese, Chinese, and Indian nationals from affected areas. Prime Minister Oli visited the site and ordered a real-time response. The collapsed Friendship Bridge at Raswagadi, critical for trade, has disrupted cross-border commerce, forcing reliance on longer routes through India. Damage to roads, power lines and customs infrastructure is slowing relief operations and isolating around 2,000 residents in a declared red zone. Nepal's hydrology team wasn't alerted until the flood reached Betravati, revealing a critical lack of data sharing with Chinese authorities. ICIMOD experts warn that debris-rich, high-velocity flows from GLFOs pose severe risks downstream, and that without real-time binational monitoring, prevention remains limited. These floods coincide with early monsoon rains that have already claimed dozens of lives since May, reinforcing Nepal's vulnerability to climate-induced disasters.
South Korea joins ASEAN foreign ministers' meetings in Kuala Lumpur this week, unveiling a new plan of action to implement its comprehensive strategic partnership. Discussions will span security, economic, cultural cooperation, and U.S. trade tensions loom large with looming tariffs.
Made in Korea. That's a term describing the world's first recombinant anthrax vaccine, which is said to be manufactured in a plant in Hwasungun County in the southwest of South Korea, after decades of joint research between the public and private sectors. The Barithrax vaccine uses recombinant protein technology, minimizing the toxic side effects of other conventional vaccines. For years, Korea had to rely on expensive imports for anthrax vaccines, but now that's starting to change. This homegrown vaccine isn't just set to be made in Korea, but will be the result of nearly 3 decades of accumulated research and technology. The vaccine was approved by the Ministry of Food and Drug Safety in April and is expected to be produced later this year. The Hwasun facility alone can produce up to 10 million doses annually, helping ensure a stable supply. However, there were challenges to developing a first-of-its-kind product.
Because this was the first recombinant anthrax vaccine, there were no established guidelines. We had to create and verify the evaluation standards step by step.
She stressed the importance of this immunization tool in national preparedness, especially to respond to global health crises, including bioterrorism. She added that those working in high-risk sectors, including lab researchers, military personnel, police and firefighters, are being considered as priority groups for vaccination. While the product didn't go through a phase 3 clinical trial due to ethical constraints, there have been concerns regarding its efficacy.
We couldn't go through a full phase 3 clinical trial, but we confirmed efficacy through non-clinical tests with rabbits.
He added that rabbits are sensitive to anthrax and require high levels of neutralizing antibodies, which adds weight to the test results. He also said the shot is expected to be competitively priced, and rising global demand is widely opening possibilities for exports. From a country once reliant on foreign supply, Korea is now positioning itself as an exporter. And with this step toward vaccine self-reliance, expectations are rising for the future of K-vaccines.
South Korea joins ASEAN foreign ministers' meetings in Kuala Lumpur this week, unveiling a new plan of action to implement its comprehensive strategic partnership. Discussions will span security, economic, cultural cooperation, and U.S. trade tensions loom large with looming tariffs.
South Korea is set to adopt a new action plan on cooperating with Southeast Asian countries at this week's series of high-level meetings in Kuala Lumpur. According to Seoul's Foreign Ministry, South Korea is joining the annual ASEAN-related foreign ministers' meetings on Thursday and Friday as a dialogue partner country to the 10-member regional bloc. During a meeting between Seoul and ASEAN, the two sides will adopt a plan of action laying out concrete steps to implement the comprehensive strategic partnership reached upon their 35th anniversary of dialogue relations last year. They're expected to focus on deepening security, economic and cultural cooperation. First Vice Foreign Minister Park Yoon-ju is leading the delegation, as the new Foreign Minister nominee Cho Hyun has not been officially confirmed by Parliament. Park will also attend the ministerial meeting of ASEAN and +3 nations, including Korea, Japan and China, a separate meeting with Mekong countries, the East Asia Summit and the ASEAN Regional Forum. Concerns over tariffs and regional tensions are expected to dominate most discussions, as the United States this week sent letters to 14 countries threatening to initiate the so-called reciprocal tariffs by August 1st. If no deal is reached, the Trump administration says it will impose 25% duties on South Korea, Japan and Malaysia, 32% on Indonesia, 36% on Cambodia and Thailand, and 40% on Laos and Myanmar. In a draft communique revealed to AFP, ASEAN nations warned that unilateral tariff actions are destabilizing economic recovery and deepening global divisions. Arriving Thursday for his first Asia trip since taking office, US Secretary of State Marco Rubio is expected to defend America's push to, quote, rebalance its trade relationships, according to officials in Washington. The attendance of Chinese and Russian foreign ministers Wang Yi and Sergei Lavrov is also drawing attention amid their shaky relations with the US. Beyond tariffs, ministers will address rising tensions on the Thailand-Cambodia border, the ongoing civil war in Myanmar, and territorial disputes in the South China Sea. Meanwhile, South Korea is expected to reiterate its support for peace and stability on the Korean peninsula and emphasize ASEAN's role in coordinated regional diplomacy. ASEAN's annual meeting of foreign ministers is the only multilateral forum North Korea has attended in the region. However, there's a chance Pyongyang will skip this year's meeting, given its severed diplomatic ties with the host country, Malaysia.
Let's take a short commercial break now. More world news coming right after this. Welcome back. Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan and Azerbaijani President Ilham Aliyev met in Abu Dhabi today to finalize a nearly 4-decade peace agreement. Following their March draft, leaders now face constitutional and corridor concessions to seal the deal.
Armenia and Azerbaijan's decades-long dispute over Nagorno-Karabakh may be inching toward resolution as Prime Minister Nikol and President Ilham met today in Abu Dhabi, their first formal encounter since finalizing a draft peace agreement in March 2025. The meeting is widely viewed as a pivotal step in ending one of the most entrenched conflicts in the post-Soviet space. However, serious hurdles remain. Chief among them is Azerbaijan's insistence that Armenia amends its constitution, which Baku claims still makes implicit territorial claims over Azerbaijani land, particularly in relation to Karabakh. While Armenian officials deny any explicit claims, Pashinyan has acknowledged that the constitution needs updating, a politically sensitive process that could face resistance at home. Additionally, Baku is demanding the creation of a transport corridor through southern Armenia to connect mainland Azerbaijan to the Nakhchivan exclave, which borders Turkey. While Yerevan supports regional connectivity, it remains wary of losing sovereignty over its territory, complicating the corridor discussions. Although the finalization of the peace draft earlier this year marked a diplomatic milestone, it was quickly followed by a worrying uptick in ceasefire violations along the heavily militarized Armenia-Azerbaijan border. According to reports, over 24 minor incidents were recorded in the weeks following the announcement, many concentrated in Armenia's Sinuk province, an area near the proposed transport corridor. Both sides have traded accusations over who was responsible for the flare-ups. Despite a recent lull in hostilities, the history of mistrust between the two countries means that tensions can reignite quickly, especially with hardline political fractions in both nations skeptical of any concessions. The fragile state of calm underscores the urgency of transforming the draft peace deal into a legally binding accord with firm security guarantees. Observers say a failure to formalize the agreement soon could risk unraveling months of progress and reignite armed clashes in the region. The peace process is receiving a rare and coordinated wave of international support. The United States has openly encouraged both Yerevan and Baku to take bold steps towards peace, seeing a stable South Caucasus as critical to regional energy security and geopolitical balance. Meanwhile, Turkish President Recep, following a rare bilateral meeting with Pashinyan in June, voiced Ankara's full support for the Armenian-Azerbaijan peace efforts remarkable, given Turkey's historic alignment with Azerbaijan. The European Union has also signaled quiet backing, providing logistical and diplomatic assistance behind the scenes. The Abu Dhabi meeting was not just a symbolic gesture, but a substantive attempt to bridge the final gaps. However, key questions remain unresolved: the timeline for signing the peace accord, the sequencing of constitutional reforms, and the governance of any proposed transit corridors. As regional and global actors lean in, the next few weeks will be crucial in determining whether the long-awaited peace deal finally becomes reality or remains another near miss in a long history of failed negotiations.
Australia's Qantas Airways confirmed a significant data breach on the 1st of July, affecting approximately 6 million customers. The breach occurred via a third-party call center, and it's now confirmed that names, email addresses, phone numbers, birth dates, and frequent flyer numbers were exposed. No evidence suggests the leaked data has been publicly released. Qantas has implemented enhanced cybersecurity measures and is investigating the incident.
Qantas Airlines confirmed on Wednesday over 1 million of its customers had their phone number, birth date or home address leaked in a hack. The airline said that another 4 million customers had just their name and email address taken in one of Australia's biggest cyber attacks in years. The carrier disclosed the breach last week, but said on Wednesday the hacked database contained personal information of 5.7 million customers. Qantas said in a statement there's no evidence that any of the customers' personal data has been released and that they're monitoring the situation. Its CEO said the airline since put in place some additional cybersecurity measures. It marks Australia's most high-profile cyber attack since telecommunications giant Optus and health insurer Medibank were hit 3 years ago.
6 crew members were rescued after a Houthi militants attacked and sank the Greek-owned cargo ship Eternity Sea in the Red Sea. At least 4 died and 14 remains missing amid growing concerns over regional maritime security.
Houthi militants are sparking fresh fears for shipping in the Red Sea. This footage, released by the group on Wednesday, shows the damaged cargo vessel Eternity Sea partially submerged before eventually sinking after an attack. The Iran-aligned group claimed responsibility for the attack, which killed at least 4 of the 25 people on board. A maritime security firm released a video it says shows the rescue of Eternity Sea sailors. Rescuers pulled 6 members alive from the sea, while the fate of another 15 was unknown. The rescuers said that the 6 seafarers spent more than 24 hours in the water. A Houthi military spokesperson said the group's naval unit rescued several crew members, gave them medical care, and took them to a safe location. However, the U.S. mission in Yemen accused the Houthis of kidnapping surviving Eternity Sea crew and demanded their immediate release. The Houthis also claimed responsibility for a similar attack on the vessel Magic Seas on Sunday. All crew from the ship were rescued before it sank. The attacks revive a campaign by the Iran-aligned fighters who have targeted over 100 ships since November 2023 in what they said was solidarity with Palestinians under attack by Israel.
We will stop the bombings.
In May, the U.S. struck a surprise deal with the Houthis to stop bombing the militants in exchange for the group ending shipping attacks, though the Houthis said Israeli vessels were not included.
Elon Musk's XAI chatbot Grok ignited controversy over anti-Semitic content, including praise for Adolf Hitler and self-describing as Michael Hitler. Following a July 4 update, XAI has removed the post, halted text replies, and pledged tighter moderation ahead of the Grok 4 launch.
A chatbot developed by Elon Musk-founded company XAI was in hot water Tuesday. The bot, named Grok, removed what it called inappropriate social media posts. It happened after X-users and the Anti-Defamation League complained it produced content with anti-Semitic tropes and praise for Adolf Hitler. The Anti-Defamation League, or ADL, is a non-profit organisation formed to combat anti-Semitism. It urged Grok and other large language model software that produce human-sounding text to avoid producing content rooted in anti-Semitic and extremist hate. The bot later posted on X, "We are aware of recent posts made by Grok and are actively working to remove the inappropriate posts." Musk promised an upgrade to Grok last month. He said there was, quote, "far too much garbage in any foundation model trained on uncorrected data." Issues of political biases, hate speech and accuracy of AI chatbots have been a concern since at least the launch of OpenAI's ChatGPT 3 years ago. Grok ran into further trouble in Turkey on Wednesday. A court there blocked access to the bot after it generated responses authorities said included insults to President Tayyip Erdogan, Turkey's founder Mustafa Kemal Ataturk, and religious values. It was the first such ban on access to an AI tool in the country. Neither X nor its owner Elon Musk has commented on the Turkish court's decision.
Time for a break now. We'll be right back. Welcome back. In a heartwarming ceremony near Florence, Florida, native Shayna Sweeney walked down the aisle escorted by both her biological father and stepfather, a touching gesture that instantly went viral online.
The wedding is about to start, but first, the father of the bride has a question for a wedding guest.
Would you like to help me escort her?
That's the bride's stepfather, and her father wants him in the ceremony. As more than 100 guests look on, Dad Rob McHugh and stepdad Vinnie Morrow walk Shayna down the aisle in a picture-perfect moment of family togetherness. The tender walk down the aisle is going viral.
Weddings are a great way to bring people together.
You can say that again. Just ask these fathers of the bride.
Mattel has unveiled its first Barbie with type 1 diabetes, featuring a realistic continuous glucose monitor, insulin pump and mobile app. Developed alongside breakthrough T1D, the doll arrives in the inclusive 2025 Fashionistas line to champion representation and awareness.
After more than 6 decades of Barbie, there's no question the beloved doll can do it all. She rocks different hairstyles, explores countless careers, and celebrates different backgrounds.
Express yourself.
And this week, doll maker Mattel is expanding her repertoire, introducing the first Barbie doll with type 1 diabetes. After past criticism over Barbie's early lack of diversity, Mattel says it marks an important step in our commitment to inclusivity and enables more children to see themselves reflected in Barbie. Children like Eloise.
I've always wanted a Barbie just like me that has a pump like me and a dexcom like me.
Reactions already pouring in.
She's just like me.
Mattel worked with nonprofit Breakthrough T1D to develop the doll.
And with that, we come to the end of today's edition of World News Tonight. With the hopes of seeing you again, I am Pritika Sivakumar, and we'll leave you tonight with the visuals of Armani showcasing his latest privé haute couture collection at the label's Gilded Paris headquarters. Also, don't forget to send us your feedback through email at feedback.ad24english@derana.lk or via WhatsApp at 076 805 7933. Thank you for watching. Have a good night.